SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
We are on the verge of all things new, sang Billy Joel once, and all of a sudden, Brazil has realized what he meant. Welcome to a new iGaming Daily Podcast episode. I'm Fernando Noodt, senior journalist for SBC Noticias, and I'm joined today by Lucía Gando, that's her name, SBC Noticias editor, aka The Boss. How are you today?
You made me sound Brazilian, I think.
Yeah, and let's introduce Isadora Marcante, senior journalist for SBC Noticias Brazil. Isa, it's been a while, actually. How are you?
Yes, it's been a while. We're not like everyone together and chatting, so it's really good to be here. And I'm really good, thank you.
Well, lovely. I see you are in the warm João Pessoa, while
Yes.
we are in the cold Buenos Aires. Entering the winter, we're almost there, so different weather for us. But let's discuss the what's coming for Brazil, because lots of things have been going on over the last few weeks in the country, with their new regulations seemingly soon to be completed. Let's go back first to the very last hours of 2023. Let's remind our listeners that that's when Lula da Silva, the president, signed the bill for iGaming and sports betting into law. But that didn't necessarily mean that everything was ready, because only the bill had been signed into law. Now the country still needs the government to sort the details out with the famous portarias. I think that's a major word, like a key word for our Brazilian discussions, which are the documents that set the rules for each aspect of the industry. So, Isa, why don't you tell us about the latest developments around specifically the portarias in Brazil?
Well, it's going quite fast, actually. I must say that I'm really impressed. I didn't think that it was going to happen that quickly, that we're going to have like a lot of portarias or law ordinances published. But right now, like what we see is like after the first portaria mentioning like the general rules for operators that would like to enter and operate in Brazil, we have been seeing other portarias being published, such as the payments one, which is I think a portaria we should discuss a bit more, because a lot of operators are happy with it. A lot of operators are not happy with it. That this law ordinance set the rules for payment methods and payment transactions inside the Brazilian territory. And we also have like more technical law ordinances, such as all the companies based in Brazil that would like to offer sports betting and online games. The customers need to have the bet.br in their URLs. They need to have a database in Brazil for all the data from the clients and the players. And we also have, like you mentioned, last year Lula signed the bill into law that regulates the sports betting market in Brazil, but he vetoed the articles that talked about the tax exemption for the players, so they wouldn't have any tax exemption on their winnings. And the Congress right now, they just took down this veto and went back to what it was before. So the players have a tax exemption. They don't need to pay any tax on their winnings up to 2,500 something in Brazil. Before it was 2,112. Now it's 2,500 something. I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's like something that the federal, like the Receita Federal, like there's a federal revenue of Brazil just decided. And well, we have a very important player in this market, that is IBJR. They are an organization that promotes a safe environment and responsible gambling in the industry in Brazil. They really didn't like that much this new law ordinance, because right now the players will have to pay taxes up to the tax exemption, but like if it goes up to that, they'll have to pay taxes on each winning, not like after a year of betting, not after a year of collecting awards money. They will have to pay taxes on each winning every day. So if I spend, I don't know, like 200 BRL today and 300 tomorrow and 50 next week, I will have to pay taxes on each winning that I have, and the losses will not be counted. So I think that's an issue that we have. But coming back to the payments law ordinance, I think that's the one that caused more, that was like, that had a louder noise in Brazil, like amongst the operators and the payment providers as well, because they won't be able to accept payments in cryptocurrency. They won't be able to accept money from. They won't be able to accept money from cryptocurrency. They won't be able to accept money from with credit cards as well, that we see quite often overseas. But here, right now, they cannot accept. They won't be able to offer bonuses for the players, like welcome bonuses to attract clients. And that is something that concerns a lot of operators, because they said that this could lead players to the parallel market as well, because you will have like other companies offering bonuses, companies that are overseas, and you have VPN as well. So you can connect to your VPN and access international websites that are not based in Brazil. And apparently, the government will accept occasionally offshore companies. So that will be even a bigger problem. So if you cannot offer bonuses to attract clients, but you have overseas companies offering sports betting to Brazilian players, how you're going to control that this player will not go to the company offshore, like outside of Brazil, and you're not going to collect taxes here anyways, if the player is not playing in a company that is based in Brazil. So it's a very, I would say, sensitive discussion right now, but we see a lot of operators happy with that as well. Like we hear them saying that will be good, that will level up the game, that the marketing will have to use like better and more, let's say, responsible strategies to attract clients that don't include offering big amounts of money for them to sign up. So yeah, basically that's like a whole summary of what's happening in Brazil right now.
You mentioned payments, and let's promote some old episode, or an older episode than this. Episode 248 of iGaming Daily. You interviewed Ariselia from Pay for Fun, so you sure want to go listen to that episode about Brazil through the payment lens with Ariselia, hosted by Isadora. So after this episode, don't go now. Stop right there. Don't go now. After this episode is finished, you go and listen to episode 248. But Isa, you mentioned there's other portarias, like smaller. Are there still many portarias, many law ordinances to be issued, and when can we expect all this process to be done?
Yes, we have like in total 12 law ordinances to be published. So we're still waiting for a couple more to be published. And according to the agenda of the awards and prizes Secretary of Brazil, they are predicting to publish all of them by the end of July. So if this happens, then we'll have like a more organized and settled, regulated environment for the sports betting online games in Brazil. Let's see if this is happening. I think it will, like seeing everything that is going on right now and how fast they are publishing things and crediting laboratories to be to testify the games in Brazil and the websites and all the work that have been done since the secretary was created, and they had Simone Vicentini in charge. So when Mansour left, so it's let's see. But we think that I think that we will see like everything done by the end of July. Yeah.
Okay. Brazil, #Brazil, wait and see, are already infamous hashtag, but we're getting close to July, so it's not we don't have to wait so much right now. But in the meantime, while all this is happening, like the law ordinances are being prepared and everything is being discussed, there's a parallel thing that maybe is not as good for the image of the industry, which is a commission from the Senate investigating match fixing in Brazil. Of course, some organizations involving sports betting that have been involved in match fixing in Brazil. There was a major investigation last year about this whole issue. So how does that impact this commission investigating match fixing? How does that impact the industry amid all this regulatory debate?
Well, sadly, this is happening in a country, Brazil, that is very divided when it comes to sports betting and online games. The population don't really understand what the industry is and how the industry works. So we see people saying that is the worst thing on earth to legalize and regulate sports betting and online casinos. And right now, eventually, they are discussing the possibility of allowing land-based casinos and bingo games like to be legalized in Brazil as well, which is another major issue.
John Textor, owner of Botafogo, actually filed a lot of evidence about or potential evidence about match fixing in Brazil. Actually, there was a push to stop the Brasileirão, right? The Brazilian Football League, the top flight football in Brazil, was being called to stop by a referee organization. That didn't actually happen. That kind of like died down, but it sure has got the attention of the public opinion, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned before, it's really divided. So like it could, I mean, obviously like mitigating all the damages that fraud in betting and match fixing can have in sports and in the industry in general, in the sports betting industry. It's really important. So we need to have those investigations. And the only thing, like the only reason why this commission was set up to place right now is because even though we had a major operation in the end of 2022 and through all 2023, we still see matching fixing issues in Brazil, and quite a good number of problems. So obviously right now they're still hearing everyone, like CBF representatives and club representatives as well, like sports clubs and representatives.
Yeah, but if you want to stay up to date with all the news about the commission investigating match fixing, the law ordinances, and everything about Brazil regulation, be sure to stay tuned to the iGaming Daily Podcast, of course, and also subscribe to the newsletter of sbcnoticias.com/BRB.
Well, while Brazil is still working on its regulation, Argentina has been making progress with its own over the last few years. However, with the regulation of online gaming came more exposure for the industry, and now there are new issues to be tackled. Each Argentinian province has its regulatory framework, and there are no nationwide rules. But the concerns seem to be the same all over the country, right, Lou and Fer? So with the market now regulated in most territories, the problem lies now with the unauthorized operators that seem not to have major issues to be up and running. Meanwhile, licensed companies promote their businesses through advertising on TV and sporting events, but seem to have become a target for the public opinion, which calls for restrictions on advertising. Fer, about that, what seems to be the major concern with iGaming operations in Argentina right now?
Well, like you very well said, the regulation has become has turned the industry into a target because, of course, like we always say, the industry used to exist before regulation. People used to bet before the industry was regulated, but after regulation, things became more like tidy and with operators. More clear, thank you. And with operators paying taxes and proper measures to protect consumers enforced, and the license operators actually enforcing those measures proposed by each government. And like you said, Argentina has a very particular way of regulating where there's no nationwide rule, like there's not a single legislation that sets the rules for the whole industry in the whole country, but each province has to pass its own regulation for the gaming industry, much like happens in the United States, for example. So with this in mind, the industry has become a target because while many companies applied for licenses and did their homework and got their permits to operate and are enforcing every regulation and protection measure, there are some operators that are not, like illegal operators are still working in Argentina, and actually 80% of the volume of betting in Argentina is illegal operations. This is information from the actual regulators. So with this in mind, there's some concerns about underage gamblers, underage or minors playing in this illegal website, because with the license operators, you don't have that issue because they have measures to prevent minors from entering their platforms. Like you have to enter your tax information or different types of information from yourself to actually be able to bet on the licensed platforms. In illegal platforms, you don't. You just can use a digital wallet or something like that to fund your account and bet online without any restrictions. So what's happening right now is that lawmakers are seeing the industry as a whole, both the illegal and the legal operators. So they are pushing in both nationwide and in some provinces laws to restrict gambling, to set more restrictive rules for the industry, both in advertising and the actual operations. Like some provinces are pushing for biometrics to be enforced in the registration process, so minors don't use their parents' information to bet, which is actually not as common as it is for minors to be betting on illegal websites, which are the most easy to bet on. So there are some pushes in some provinces and also nationwide to restrict the industry, and that is actually the major issue in Argentina right now.
We've seen also like this cancel culture targeting certain influencers that promote sports betting, maybe legal operators like football journalists or influencers in general, and they've been cancelled in social media because of their participation on these commercial agreements with sports betting. We've also seen a lot of influencers saying like, I've been receiving like 100 mails per day to promote gambling. I would never do that. Please be aware, if you're an influencer, stop this. So it's not only a discussion at the Congress level, but also in society. People are taking measures like this, like canceling influencers and public figures who are promoting sports betting in general. And it's been a discussion also in schools, like most of teachers and personnel from schools are saying like teenagers are addicted to their smartphones and also now to sports betting and online gaming. So yes, it's a general debate in the society right now.
And just to make a connection with Brazil, we're facing the same issue right now here, because we have legal platforms being promoted by big influencers, and we have illegal, not just because they're not licensed in Brazil, because none of the operators are licensed in Brazil yet, but like platforms that are not licensed at all they don't have QIC, like Fer mentioned. They don't have any safety and protection rules and measures in place to prevent minors from accessing. We see minors promoting sports betting in Brazil right now and iGaming. So it's an issue that we share. Like, we are hermanos, so we share a lot of things, and that's another thing that we share. But what type of regulations for the industry are lawmakers pushing? If you can give us like an idea of what's happening in Argentina in this matter.
I think the most important right now is one that's been pushed by a national deputy, which is from a party called the Coalición Cívica, which is pushing for advertising restrictions, which wouldn't be allowed in like non-targeted advertising. Like, if you can't just post or do a poster on the street, or advertise your company on a massive sports event, because that's like non-targeted. It's not specific. With the internet, you can target your marketing efforts to a certain type of audience, like, let's say, people over 20 years old or people over 18 years old that have an interest in gambling. So with non-targeted, with this bill, non-targeted advertising would not be allowed, and that includes promoting sports betting operations in sporting events, which would be seriously harmful for what has been going on over the last few years with sports betting companies and online gaming companies sponsoring major sports teams like Boca, River. The actual Argentina league has also signed a deal recently. So this is, I think, the most important one, because it's also a nationwide rule. And in the meantime, the same party has also issued a letter to the central bank asking it to order digital wallets to take action in preventing minors from using digital wallets to fund their online gaming accounts. So those are, I think, the two most important types of regulations that are being pushed in Argentina right now. We have to wait and see in Argentina too, to see what if this is going to have any type of effect, if these are going to make progress, because Argentina is actually going through a major change in the political aspect. Like, they are pushing a major legislation reforms in Argentina. So I'm not sure this will have the attention that the industry would like or not like. So we'll have to see what happens with the current state of politics in Argentina.
Thank you, Fer and Lou, and thank you for listening to this episode. We will leave the links to the stories discussed on today's episode on the podcast description. And also make sure to subscribe to SBC Noticias and SBC Noticias Brazil to stay up to date with everything that is happening in Latin America at the moment. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily Podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network, or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.